Uh, yes. So, thank you, first of all, Gautamji, for joining us. It's an unfortunate occasion today, as Indian cinema's galaxy has lost one of its brightest stars. Uh,
That's
yes. Gautamji, for someone who's been chronicling film history for a long time as an avid Bollywood person, first thoughts on departure of Rishi Kapoor.
one can't come to terms with a galaxy of Hindi films without the likes of Irfan Khan and Rishi Kapoor, because they have been such a conscious part of the memory of the audience. Rishi ji, right from 1973, in fact, before that, with Mera Naam Joker and Bobby, and Irfan since the late 1980s. So, back to back 2 days where you lose two actors who define the word effortless in completely different contexts for you when it comes to acting. It's a little difficult because they had also transitioned from what they were known for to
Right.
a space where they were totally, surprising the audiences every time they came on screen.
Hmm.
And it's going to be a very big vacuum. I don't think that this vacuum can be filled. And Rishi, especially in the context of popular Hindi films and the age bracket that Rishi ji was in at this time, there are
Right.
very few actors who can, for the want of a better word, play that supporting actor role with such elegance. And
Hmm.
there are very few actors now in that age group for whom you could probably write scripts. You could think of ideas, you could think of things that were never done in Hindi films before. And that is a very big loss. It's a very, very big vacuum.
So someone who started with Bobby and went on to do things like Love Ajkal, and then did 102 Not Out, Kapoor and Sons. Somewhere he did transition from the age that from the roles that were meant for his age. But at the same time, cinema also evolved. And what do you have to say about Rishiji's flexibility and ability to adapt with changes in cinema?
I think the quality of adapting is so inherent and so inbuilt in somebody like Mr. Rishi Kapoor that uh, it's a pity that he had to wait for so long to get roles which would go beyond the image that he had created or the image that was created for him by the industry. See, at the time when he made his debut, especially with Mera Naam Joker and Bobby, there was a very big difference in the two roles that introduced Rishi Kapoor to the world. He was also Raj Kapoor's son, who was one of the biggest names in Hindi films at that time. So he had a legacy that was staring at him in his face, being Prithviraj's grandson and Raj Kapoor's son. It was very difficult. Also, the time uh, where he was introduced to the audience was in 1973. It was the same year where Zanjeer also came about. So you had the advent of the angry young man in the truest sense as a character. You also had the Rajesh Khanna phenomenon, which was at its peak
Hmm.
in 1972 73.
Hmm.
So, having made his debut in between these two bookends, it was practically impossible for somebody like Rishi Kapoor to think that they would have a very long career or a very long shelf life. And I say this not because of undermining the talent that Rishi Kapoor was, but because how the industry was at that point. They were looking for somebody between the romantic image that Rajesh Khanna
Hmm.
had created and the action star that Amitabh Bachchan was transitioning into. So you had people like Vinod Khanna, you had Shatrughan Sinha, you had Dharamji at that time, who had hit a purple patch, and they could easily transition between the kind of roles that Hindi cinema had envisioned for the leading man, which
Right.
was, Sarvagun Sampan hote the, and the kind of person that the angry young man would eventually become. So these guys were tailor made for that kind of transition. The other problem that Rishi Kapoor faced at a very early stage in his career was that because he was so young at the
Yes.
time that there were no heroines who could fit that age bracket. So because Dimple Kapadia got married to Rajesh Khanna and left the scene, a lot of films then went to Neetu Singh and they created a fantastic on-screen pair. But Rishi Kapoor, up until Salman Khan's debut, was the star who had the maximum number of actresses debuting opposite him. That also speaks volumes about the
Wow.
fact that he had to create an environment for Rishi Kapoor to operate. Now, having said this, in the late 70s, when the Bachchan juggernaut was at its peak, and this was the time where Mr. Bachchan had now transitioned into this one-man industry. Vinod Khanna was showing signs of quitting the industry. Shatrughan Sinha had not been able to sustain the same kind of madness that he had in the fans when he was a villain after he became a hero in the truest sense of the word. Rishi Kapoor has a film like Hum Kisi Se Kam Nahi, which is the biggest hit, one of the biggest hits of the late 1970s, and it's at the time where Amitabh Bachchan was totally the box office phenomenon. So
Right.
that also shows that within the parameters of the industry, Rishi Kapoor was very ready to be flexible. Now, in the 80s, where a lot of big stars were coming to terms with the fact that the industry was changing and you could either play the second lead to somebody like an Amitabh Bachchan, or you could be a part of this multi-starrer. So you had films
Hmm.
like Kudrat, you had films like Rajput that had Rajesh Khanna, Vinod Khanna, Dharamji, Hema Malini, or you had films like Shan, which had Sunil Dutt, Amitabh Bachchan, Shashi Kapoor, and Shatrughan Sinha, Rakhi, and Parveen Babi bundled together. Or you could try and balance things. Now, this is
Right.
where Rishi Kapoor actually shines. Now, in the early 1980s up until the mid 1980s, it's the golden era of Rishi Kapoor. Now, a lot of these films which are memorable today might not have performed that well at the box office. And I'm
True.
talking about a film like Karz, but they have become a part of the cult. They enjoy a cult following today. They have become a part of the conscious memory of cinema viewers. Now, this is
Right.
where Rishi Kapoor was happily playing the second fiddle to Amitabh Bachchan. He
Yes.
was featured in films like Gunegar, which had Dharamji in it, or Sitamkar, which again had Dharmendra in it, or he was also part of the whole Kalptaru family drama, Ghar Ghar Ki Kahani, or
Hmm.
what was the other very famous song that he had? Uh, Ek Baras Ke Mausam Char. That song will come
Hmm.
to me.
Hmm.
But, uh, but that is what Rishi Kapoor was transitioning into. Now,
Right.
he was always, see, the thing I like about Rishi Kapoor is that he was nobody's fool. He did not ever fool himself into thinking that he was not something what he was. He did not believe in this whole method acting thing,
Ha.
which he
Ha.
called nonsense. He did not believe in preparing for a role. So he
Right.
was effortless in that sense. In fact, Mr. Bachchan very famously once said that it's so difficult to lip sync and emote at the same time. But
Hmm.
look at Rishi Kapoor, he could play the guitar or the duffly and he could
Hmm.
dance, he could lip sync, and he could emote also. So when it comes to popular Hindi films, when it comes to Bombay cinema, there were very few who could match up to Rishi Kapoor's ease and effortlessness.
True.
Also, Rishi Kapoor was ever ready to change with the times. So even though he's one of the last big stars of the golden era of Hindi films, which start in the early 1950s and till the end of 1970s. Rishi Kapoor is probably the last big star. Rishi Kapoor is also an actor who comes between this angry young man phase and the realistic realism which was entering into mainstream films. So if you see
Right.
films like Meri Jang, Mashal, Arjun, Dakat of the 1980s, where actors like Anil Kapoor, Sunny Deol, Jackie Shroff, and Sanjay Dutt were trying to be a different kind of a leading man,
Yes.
while taking a lot from the Angry Young Man template. Rishi Kapoor managed to create a legacy of great songs, great roles, and across genres of films. And he's the
Hmm.
only actor of the 1970s, a star, who could easily play uh, the glorified extra in films, but still managed to hold
Yeah.
his own. So you have a film like Sagar,
Hmm.
where he's silently but very powerfully present in that film. And
Right.
you also have a film like Damini, where
Yes. The
Sunny
helpless
Deol,
husband. Yeah.
yeah, Sunny Deol might have walked away with all the glory, and Meenakshi
Yes.
Seshadri might have finally got a good role to bite into. But there was nobody else but Rishi Kapoor who could have played the husband's role so convincingly
Yes.
and
True.
give the film a kind of balance that it needed.
Yes. I mean, even if there's one film, another film that I remember, Aadmi Ek Khilona Hai. Another
Yeah, yeah.
film where he was pitted with Jitendra, if I'm not wrong, who was also a big star at that time.
I think it was Govinda in that film. I think it
Yeah.
was one of the last films of J. Om Prakash ji. And
Acha, okay, yeah, yeah,
again,
yeah. Yes, yes, yes. I'm sorry. Yes.
no, no, not at all. So, see, that is the whole thing. He is such a big part of our imagination when it comes to
Yes,
Hindi films.
yes,
Because you
yes,
look at films like Khel Khel Mein, you look at
yes,
films like Dusra Aadmi, and you look at Rafu Chakkar. I mean, even though it's a straight remake of a Hollywood film, but
yes,
imagine imagine anybody else playing that role. It would
yes.
not be as funny and as
Hmm.
convincing. I'm a fan of the films of the 70s, and Rishi Kapoor is a very very big part of my memories, and he's embedded because I remember the great songs. So in the 80s, while growing up, I used to rummage through my parents' LP collection, and you
Yes,
would always find records like Zamane Ko Dikhana Hai and Hum Kisi Se Kam Nahi, Khel Khel Mein. So Rishi Kapoor was always there, and later towards the end 80s, when you start watching films uh, independently, I mean,
hmm.
there comes a phase where you let go of the past, which your parents or your grandparents have inculcated in you as a cinema watching experience, and you start discovering films on your own. That is when you see films like Chandni, or you see films like Bol Radha Bol, where he's
Yes,
doing the usual thing, but he's still different from the other actors of the time. And there is not a single Rishi Kapoor film that will not make you smile, and
yes.
that is what makes him so special.
Yes. So let's take this forward, and you elaborated very well कि वो कैसे जब supporting actor का भी role play करते थे तो he walked away with the trophy pretty much. And कहीं पर एक ऐसा phase आता है stars में when they are not very willing to play a father or a mentor like what he did in Love Aajkal, for that matter.
Ji.
How was it? He was so seamless when it came to switching even through generations.
I
And
think somewhere that is true because the thing देखिए ऐसा होता है कि हिंदी सिनेमा और पॉपुलर फिल्म्स भारतवर्ष में इतनी एक एक आपको इतनी बड़ी फॉलोइंग दे देती है बिकॉज ऐसे तो वैसे देखा जाए तो इट्स द मोस्ट एक्सेसिबल फॉर्म ऑफ एंटरटेनमेंट
yes,
तो चाहे वो रजनीकांत शिवाजी गणेशन अमिताभ बच्चन दिलीप कुमार देवानंद जैसे स्टार्स हों या आज के दौर के भी अगर आप स्टार्स देखें तो जो आपकी जो फॉलोइंग है आपको
mm-hmm.
लगता है this is the only kind of thing that you can do. You can't
Right,
break out of this.
yes,
And Rishi Kapoor is somebody who has seen the advent of the parallel cinema or the art house cinema in India in the late 1960s because he was working in Mera Naam Joker at that time.
yes,
फिर अगर आप mid 70s की बात करें तो that is also a phase where Shyam Benegal's films were really redefining art house films in India or even popular films in India were being redefined by Govind Nilani,
yes,
Saeed Akhtar Mirza, Kundan Shah in the 80s. तो वो दौर भी ऋषि कपूर ने देखा है तो कहीं ना कहीं एक ऐसे खानदान से ताल्लुक रखने के वजह से जो बिल्कुल सिनेमा और सिनेमा को एंटरटेनमेंट के अलावा शायद किसी और दृष्टिकोण से ना देखे तो
hmm,
कहीं ना कहीं आपकी थिंकिंग हो जाती है कि भाई यही है और इसके अलावा कुछ नहीं है तो
hmm,
अगर आप इतने बड़े स्टार रहे हैं तो उसके बाद एक भाई का रोल प्ले करना या फादर का रोल प्ले करना
हाँ,
अगर शक्ति जैसी फिल्म ना हो तो
hmm,
फिर आपके लिए थोड़ी ना वो थोड़ी सी मुश्किल हो जाती है एंड एक ऐसा टाइम भी आता है बिटवीन अ लीडिंग मैन फेज एंड सो कॉल्ड कैरेक्टर आर्टिस्ट और सपोर्टिंग एक्टर फेज जहां पे कुछ टाइम के लिए कंप्लीटली लॉस्ट अब उस दौर में आपको लगता है कि यू स्टिल डूइंग द सेम काइंड ऑफ फिल्म्स एंड गलती से अगर एक फिल्म चल जाती है जैसे अगर आप
hmm,
बोल रहा था बोल और दीवाना देखें विच केम इन द अर्ली 90s आई थिंक 92 में आई दोनों फिल्में तो वो जब हिट हो गई और वो ऋषि कपूर की प्रेजेंस की वजह से हिट हुई है सो कहीं ना कहीं ऋषि कपूर को ये लगने लगा होगा कि यार थोड़े साल और खिंच सकता है ये मामला
हाँ,
बट अगर रोल वैसे लिखे जाते जैसे इफ यू लुक एट अ फिल्म लाइक हम तुम
hmm,
वेयर इज इट इज द फर्स्ट instance where Rishi Kapoor is making that transition, becoming that
yes,
bridge between two different generations.
yes,
अगर वैसे realistic roles लिखे जाते हैं तो शायद पहले भी ऋषि कपूर would have been okay with that idea. Now
right,
somewhere it takes a little while कि आप regular बाप भाई के रोल के अलावा अगर आप देखें and see because the industry is so male dominated that it is still easier for the male stars to take a break for 4 or 5 years and then come
true,
back in a completely different avatar.
true,
But for the leading ladies, it becomes really, really very difficult to get even a half well-written role to do the kind of stuff. So
Right.
Rishi Kapoor के लिए films like Luck by Chance अगर आप देखें, I
हाँ.
think he's the brightest thing in that film. वो जो रोमी रोली का उनका role है उसमें, uh, it is so brilliant. It is so smooth
Right.
that you don't look at people like Farhan in the film or even Konkana Sen
True.
in the
True.
film.
True. True.
Completely focus on the likes of Juhi Chawla, Dimple
Yes.
Kapadia, and Rishi Kapoor. What is
Yes.
interesting is that all three people in that film play their age without making a big deal about that. So
True.
they don't color their hair, they don't change their makeups. Like I keep talking about Amir Khan's role in Dhobi Ghat. That is
हाँ.
one of the most interesting roles that he did in that phase, where he did not do anything. You know, कोई method नहीं था, कोई preparation नहीं थी, कोई 3 साल बाल नहीं काटे, 5 साल दाढ़ी नहीं बनाई, ऐसा कुछ नहीं था. But then that connects with the audience. So that gives
Yes.
you an idea that there is a space, there is a scope for actors to do, even in the realm of popular Hindi films, even with the trappings, do something which is interesting. So you look at a film like D-Day. Now,
Yes.
10 years ago, 15 years ago, if D-Day was made, you would automatically think of a Nana Patekar to do that.
Yes.
Then even if a film like Kranti Veer was being made, you would think of Nana and nobody beyond Nana Patekar. Now that is the brilliance of Rishi Kapoor, that he managed to just hold on for a little while and slip
Yes.
into films like Do Duni Char or even Besharam, which is a very problematic film.
Yes.
But Rishi Kapoor and Neetu Singh in that film are brilliant to look at. I mean, and really effortless. So I think somewhere he was always ready. He did not know his true potential because, you know, he came from a school of acting or cinema that did not look at terms like potential, character development beyond a certain point. In
Yes.
his autobiography, Khullam Khulla,
Yes.
Rishi ji mentions a very interesting episode. So he is approached by Rakesh Roshan, who's one of his very close friends in the industry,
Yes.
to play Hrithik Roshan's father in Koi Mil Gaya.
Yeah.
And Rishi ji refuses. He says कि यार मेरे career के लिए ठीक नहीं होगा, कुछ interesting दो. And he mentions how Rakesh Roshan is shocked, bemused, and then even mocks him for saying कि तेरा कौन सा career है यार, अब तो तू retire हो गया, तू बाप का role play कर रहा है. So what is the big deal now? And Rishi Kapoor was at his wits' end to try and explain things to his friend,
Yes.
who also came from that same generation,
Yes.
that there is something beyond what we were doing.
Yes.
So at Jaipur, I remember meeting him, interacting him over a course of a dinner, and he was mentioning time and again that अब जाके मेरे लिए roles लिखे जा रहे हैं. अब जाके आप मुझे ऐसे किरदार दे रहे हो that I enjoy doing. So he never signed more than a film at this stage, in the second innings of his career, because he was in no rush, he was in no hurry, he was always looking for something that would actually give him a reason to, you know, don the grease paint and get the makeup on and go. So if you look at Kapoor and Sons, where he says कि 4-4 5-5 घंटे लगते थे makeup के लिए, and फिर 4-4 5-5 घंटे लगते थे makeup उतारने के लिए. So काम आपका सिर्फ 15-20 मिनट, 1 घंटे 2 घंटे का होगा. But even in that, he really had created a wonderful character, which many would not have thought that Rishi Kapoor was capable of doing that.
Rauf Lala is another character that comes to mind. Agnipath.
Yes, and the interesting thing about that character is that even though the film is a remake,
yes,
that character did not exist in the original.
Yes.
And you don't miss what Mithun Chakrabarti played in the original film, because Rauf Lala really fills up the scene.
Yes.
And for that kind of an actor, see, when Sergio Leone was making Once Upon a Time in the West, he went to Peter Fonda, who always played the classic leading man, to play the villain in the film. And Peter Fonda initially refused. He said, I don't think this is going to work out. So he said that Sergio Leone explained the scene to me and narrated that, you know, there is a killing, an entire family is wiped out, and there is a little boy who looks at the chief bandit who has killed his family, the architect of this massacre. And then he says that a henchman just says that, what do we do with this guy now? And he takes Peter Fonda's character's name. And Sergio Leone then told Peter Fonda, ki, just imagine that when the camera pans, you don't
Right.
know whom you're expecting to see, and you suddenly see blue eyes and Peter Fonda saying that now we have to kill that little boy because you've taken my name. He says,
Right.
imagine the shock in the audiences. Now the same thing happened to Rishi Kapoor also. So in the late 1980s, there is a film called Khoj, which was made by the Ramsey brothers, and it had Nasiruddin Shah, Kimi Kadkar, Danny Dengzongpa in the film. And Rishi Kapoor plays this guy who is an Indian origin businessman settled in Nepal, and he returns from a business deal in India to
Yes.
Kathmandu, and he does not find his wife. So when he goes and complains to the police that his wife is missing, and then they find Kimi Kadkar, and Kimi Kadkar says that I'm your wife, and she says you're not my wife, and everybody, right from the child to the dog, they all accept Kimi Kadkar as the wife, and he keeps telling you're not my wife. Finally, it is revealed later, and I mean, spoiler alert, that Rishi Kapoor is the killer. So you're not expecting
Right.
Rishi Kapoor to be a killer. So when you now see him in Agnipath, and
Yes.
you see him in front of one of the finest actors of his generation, Hrithik Roshan. And Hrithik is also a throwback to the old single screen stars. You know, he's
Yes.
perhaps the last actor that people would not mind going to a single screen to see
Absolutely. Yeah.
him. I mean, I would pay the top bucks to watch Hrithik Roshan on the screen. And when you see somebody like Rishi Kapoor playing the villain
Yes.
in a film which also has Sanjay Dutt playing this menacing version of Kancha
Ye-
Cheena,
yes.
pitted against these two people, and he walks away with the glory,
Yes.
then you know that this is a guy who's been dealt a very bad hand when it comes to great roles. Because imagine what all Rishi Kapoor could have done in the 70s and the 80s if he had been a little more open in pursuing
Yes.
roles,
Yes.
and more importantly, the industry would have been okay with the idea of looking at Rishi Kapoor to play hatke kind of roles.
True. I mean, we look at Kabhi Kabhi, where he plays this chocolate hero. And despite all the complications that are there in other characters, it's Rishi Kapoor and Neetu Singh, which eventually, stay in a youngster's mind who's watching the movie for the first time.
Yeah, and also that, what is interesting is that Rishi Kapoor, for me, also somehow managed to capture the zeitgeist every time he was a part of something significant. So if you look at
Right.
Mera Naam Joker,
Yes.
now it's public record, and everybody has said, right from Randhir Kapoor to just about anybody who has watched Mera Naam Joker, that perhaps Mera Naam Joker would have been a far better film and better accepted film and an instant classic if Raj Kapoor had just released the initial segment of the film where the young Joker is played by Rishi Kapoor. What a powerhouse
Oh,
of a performance!
yes. Yes.
What a way that he manages to capture the
Very
audience's
true.
emotions, and he just projects them. So you look at Mera Naam Joker, you look at Khel Khel Mein. Now, interestingly, Khel Khel Mein comes in a year in 1975, which is perhaps a very, very big year for Hindi films. It's a year which has Sholay, Pratigya, Jai Santoshi Ma, Khel Khel Mein, Andhi, Chupke Chupke, Diwar, all the Julie, all these films come in the
Wow.
single year. Dharmatma, I mean, even Dharmatma is in that same year. So now all these films come in the same year. Rafu Chakkar is also 1977, if I'm not mistaken. And Rishi Kapoor manages to get that uh, young person's emotion and angst in a completely different way in films like Khel Khel Mein and Rafu Chakkar. Now there is a very big thing made out of films like Diwar and that parallel story of Diwar, that the situation of the environment of that time, or the the world that surrounded in reality at that time, mehengai and no jobs for the young people, and people being forced to confront their sadness, or their lack of resources, and giving it back to the system, becoming an anti-hero, so to speak. The same attributes can be attached to the characters that Rishi Kapoor was playing in films like Rafu Chakkar or Khel Khel Mein. But the way he interprets that, or the way he reflects the young person on the screen, is
Yes.
completely different. And perhaps today they are as important study material when you look at that era, just as a Diwar or a film like Roti Kapda or Makan is.
Sure.
Now,
Sure.
in Kabhi Kabhi also, for me, what is interesting is that there is this great romance which is taking place
Mm-hmm.
at the surface of it all. And but the real issues, the issues that impact people and are not reflected on screen
Hmm.
as regularly perhaps are depicted by the characters that Simi Grewal, Parikshit Sahani,
Yes.
Neetu Singh, and Rishi Kapoor play. Because there is a track of Neetu Singh's character being an adopted child, and how she comes to terms
Yes.
with the
Yes.
reality of her adoption, and Rishi Kapoor playing this spoiled brat who suddenly
Yes.
becomes very mature, not for the reasons that he has to take over his father's business or usko naukri
No.
karni hai, but he comes to these. He is hit by a reality that a girl full of life, full of
Mm.
beings, whom I'm in love with, suddenly wants to be somebody else because a reality that comes to her knowledge. Now,
Mm.
the way Rishi Kapoor manages the tightrope, and in a film, in a screenplay, or in a script that really has very little for him to do, because
Yes.
you have Amitabh Bachchan playing this
Of
angsty
course. Of course.
poet, you have
Yes.
Rakhi playing this silent lover, you have Wahida ji playing this woman who's been wronged, you have Shashi
Shashi
Kapoor playing a
Kapoor.
character who's stuck between strange emotions. You have Neetu Singh who has to come to terms with her adoption. You have
Simi
um,
Garewal.
Amy Grewal who has to come to terms with the fact that her daughter now sees her in a completely different light, and then you
Yes.
have this lover boy who has got nothing to do, but he's bowling and he's singing songs
Yes.
and he's full of life, and suddenly he has to deal with all these emotions, and he's single-handedly connected with all these emotions.
True. True.
So for him to portray that, I think it's that performance that he gives in films like that, and then Dusra Admi, and then
Hmm.
a plethora of films like Sagar, Dimple Kapadia and Kamal Hassan have all the great material packed in for them. But it is Rishi Kapoor who has to be silent. See, Michael Caine used to say this very interesting thing about how to decipher an actor or an actor's brilliance. He said that
Hmm.
look at the actor in a frame who is silent, who has nothing to do,
Right.
and then you understand how difficult it is for them to make it look so effortless. And
Yes.
I don't think that there is anybody who can challenge Rishi Kapoor in that aspect, that be a part of the
Of
frame
course.
where greatness inundates not only you but also the audience, and yet manage to become that part which just lingers on forever.
Yes, and a very secure person in his own skin. I don't think he ever decided to, lose weight or, go with you know, go with the herd mentality that I want to be as fit or, do something else. I think he was one person who's very secure, and I mean, in today's era, if I don't think any actor would have the gall or the gumption to come out on stage with, a baggy sweater and be as confident as what he was. Gautamji,
Yeah, so that
yeah, please go
Sorry,
on.
I was just saying that audacity comes from the fact that he was Raj Kapoor's son.
Yes.
And I think somewhere, whenever I think of Rishi Kapoor, whenever I've written anything on him or tried to decode Rishi Kapoor's career, I think somewhere Rishi Kapoor became very comfortable with himself due to two reasons. I think
Hmm.
one, he knew that no matter how hard he tried or what he did, he would always be compared to the great Raj Kapoor,
Of
and he
course.
would always fall short.
Of course.
Uh, Today, as an actor, I think, as an actor, he has a far better legacy than Raj Kapoor.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, when he
Yes, of
started,
course.
Raj Kapoor was something else. And I think somewhere the pressure that cracked Randhir Kapoor,
Yes.
being Raj Kapoor's son and being that first post-independence big star son to make a debut,
Mm-hmm.
the pressure that he was under, because he wanted to be a filmmaker, a director, but he knew he couldn't match up to Raj Kapoor, or he would be unnecessarily or
Compared, yeah.
unforgivingly compared to him. And so he decides to launch his debut is a film where he directs not only the great Raj Kapoor, but he also
Hmm.
directs the great Raj Kapoor,
Yes, yes.
and then himself and Babita, and manages to come up with a film which is, fairly interesting, Kal Aaj Aur Kal.
Yes.
And then, but somewhere it was a ticking time bomb that, or the countdown had already started even before Ranbir Kapoor had decided to become a filmmaker or an actor. I think
Yes.
these two incidents somewhere cemented this thing in Rishi Kapoor's mind that, boss, no matter how hard I try, yahan to baat nahi banne wali. And I
Right,
think
right, right.
he always had that audacity even as a child. Then later, the fact that he debuts at a time where Rajesh Khanna and Amitabh Bachchan are pitted against each other, the romantic star and the angry
Mm-hmm.
young man, and then he was always this and Rishi Kapoor wala thought. So whenever you were
Ha.
talking about great stars, you would say Rajesh Khanna, Vinod Khanna, Dharamji, Amitabh
Yes.
Bachchan, Hema Malini. You would
And
say all these
Rishika.
kind of things, and Rishi Kapoor, or you would say, oh,
Yeah.
even he's there. So in sab ke beech mein, I think somewhere he threw caution to the wind, and thank God for that. I mean, Rishi Kapoor was also an actor. I remember many famous incidents and these grapevine stories. That, do you know that Rishi Kapoor, the only time that he
Hmm.
did a sunrise shot
Hmm.
was in Delhi 6 for Rakesh Om Prakash Mehra. He said
Wow.
even the great Raj Kapoor could not make me do a sunrise shot because Rishi Kapoor would not work before 9 or after 6. Legend has it that there was this very interesting story, anecdote. And Rishi Kapoor is shooting in Film City, or I think,
Hmm. Hmm.
really off the suburbs. And he's traveling back, and there is this guy who's come to pitch his film and narrate his story to Rishi Kapoor. And Rishi
Right.
Kapoor says, ki, yaar, chal car mein baith ja, and while driving, tell me the story. कहानी शुरू होती है, ऋषि कपूर is all ears and he's hearing the story, and this guy says कि सर, ये फिल्म की खास बात ये है कि ये एक रात की स्टोरी, और हम पूरी की पूरी स्टोरी ना बॉम्बे की सड़कों पे शूट करेंगे, हम रियलिटी दिखाएंगे. Rishi Kapoor stopped the car there. I don't know whether this is true or not, but
Yeah.
with Rishi Kapoor, it could very well be true, and with Rishi Kapoor, he could get away with anything. He told his driver to stop the car right there and then. He said, मैंने आज तक कोई
Hmm.
रात की शूटिंग नहीं की है और कोई सुबह की शूटिंग नहीं की, तेरा दिमाग खराब हो गया, मैं ये करूंगा. And he made the guy get off the car, and he said, now figure out a way, chalo. So that was the kind of person that Rishi Kapoor was, and I think that audacity shines
Yes.
through his films as well.
Yes. I mean, being vocal about issues, be it social issues, everything.
Yes, yes.
As we come to the end of this very interesting conversation and very heartfelt tribute to Rishi ji today, uh, I mean, I truly wish there was a movie where I saw the father and the son playing a role. I mean, they did play a movie, but of course, it did not make it great at the box office. But I really wish there was a story where both of them could come and hit the screen. Uh, a movie that comes to your mind that you wish Rishi ji had played.
One role that he had played,
Yes,
you cracked
yes,
up in mind.
yes, yes.
Well, I think uh, the the funny part is that once you see Rishi Kapoor in films like Luck by Chance, and
Yes,
later the kind of stuff that he was doing, you go back and start harking upon that. What are the roles that he could have done? Now,
yes.
Rishi Kapoor's career is peppered with these interesting films throughout. We just need to dust things off, and we just need to rummage through his filmography and see films that he did which were very interesting. Rishi Kapoor is also an actor for me. Uh, I don't think that I'm interested in knowing, or I'm interested in exploring the kind of roles that he could have done. I
Mm-hmm.
am very happy about the roles that he did because nobody else could have done those roles.
True.
And you could look at a film like any of the classics that he did, a Khel Khel Mein or a Rafu Chakkar, or even later films like Sagar, Chandni. But for
Uh,
me, the one film that I wish that more people see, I wish that more people rediscover, is a Ramesh Talwar film called Dunia. It was produced by Yash Johar. It's a
okay.
pity that a good print of that is not available out there today, and I wish that Karan Johar takes the initiative and restores the original negative and comes out with a new version of the print of Dunia. Dunia is a film which was written by Javed Akhtar, It
Wow.
had great songs by R.D. Burman. Uh, that song which that Nazm by Javed Saab, which Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan also sang in his album Afreen, Firte Hain Dar Badar, Main Aur Meri Awargi, that was originally picturized on Rishi Kapoor.
Okay. Wow.
Dunia is a film where Rishi Kapoor plays this character which is very reflective of what he probably might have felt in his real life too.
Hmm.
He's pitted against Dilip Kumar in that film,
Yeah.
and Dilip Kumar is a very close friend of his father Raj Kapoor. So
Mm-hmm.
you can see that look in Rishi Kapoor's eyes whenever, and Rishi Kapoor does not know that Dilip Kumar is his father in the film for
Right,
a better
right,
part of
right,
the narrative.
right.
So what that angst that he conveys, and I
Mm-hmm.
think it's one of the best Rishi Kapoor performances, which sadly is not celebrated as much.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
just for the sake of argument, I feel that Rishi Kapoor would have been very interesting if the roles in Sagar were switched,
Right, right.
because Kamala Hassan is a fantastic actor, and the kind of script that Sagar was, he suited it the best. But I would be very interested in seeing if the roles were switched and Kamal Hassan was playing that guy Rishi Kapoor played, and Rishi Kapoor was playing the jilted lover, so to speak. I think that would have been interesting. And
Yes.
another film that comes to my mind, that if Rishi Kapoor, people would have thought of Rishi Kapoor playing that role, is Red Rose. Red Rose is again a remake of a Tamil film uh, that Kamal Hassan played in the original, and Rajesh Khanna played in the Hindi version. It's this psychopathic
Gautamji, we
killer.
have just 2 minutes left. Zoom will
Yeah.
auto
So
shut down. Yes.
these two roles I would have really explored with
Yes.
Rishi Kapoor.
And
I'm
I,
very
I
happy with the legacy that he leaves behind.
I can't imagine anyone doing Do Duni Char or the one with Neetu Singh, the middle class family that he
Yes,
plays.
yes,
And
yes.
I'm so glad that, even people like me got a chance to see Rishi Kapoor play the hero, the father, the grandfather, pretty much, several shades, even during the years that he had decided not to play the lover boy. Thank you so much, Gautamji, for speaking with us. And of course, as the nation mourns the great loss of the actor Rishi Kapoor, may his soul rest in peace. And yeah, see you and be safe. And
Thank you, Kunjan. You too.
and yes, and hopefully we'll meet soon. See you. See you. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.